huge TyraShow.com web survey asking why more girls than ever are having sex, getting pregnant, experimenting with drugs, and getting into girl fights. And more than 10,000 teens and young women logged on to TyraShow.com, and they told us why. Now, this is all a part of our Season 4 mission to expose the truth about our lives. And today, it's all about teens. With me in the studio, and I'm doing my first ever live video conference with teens from Chicago and Pennsylvania. Can I hear Chicago and Pennsylvania? Yeah, girls? Yeah. Okay, we are calling it Ty Chat. Hi, girls.
Hi.
Hi. We've also got an audience full of teens and their moms who are prepared to find out details of their daughters' lives. And I'm warning the moms that these details might shock them, but the moms have said that they're ready for it. Now, first up, we're going to talk about what, girls? Sex. Yes, we're going to talk about sex. And according to our web survey, the average age that girls are losing their virginity these days is 15 years old. So, yeah. So I'm going to go to Pennsylvania. Let's talk to Rebecca in Pennsylvania. So, Rebecca, in your school, what is like the average age that girls are losing their virginity?
The average age at my school is like junior year, like 15 or 16, because by that time, like, you know yourself, like the girls are doing it at like 12, 13, even 14. You're still a kid. Like I waited till I was 16, so I think that's like an appropriate age to start being sexually active.
Okay.
I don't think it's okay to just do it to do it. I think you should be in love, definitely. I don't think it should just be something casual. I mean, that's how I was. I waited till I was in love.
Yeah, I agree. I think that you should wait until you find someone that you definitely love, and I'm still waiting because I'm still a virgin.
So what if you were in love with somebody and you were 12? You're saying it's all about love.
No, I think that's too young.
12 is too young.
Way too young.
I don't think by the age of 12, I don't think you really know what love is.
You don't know what love is at 12. You can't.
But at 15, you know love. Okay, let's go to... You know, teen baby love, right? But not real love, not adult love. Maybe teen love.
No.
Okay, let's go to Chicago. I want to go to Ariane in Chicago. How old were you when you lost your virginity, Ariane?
I lost my virginity at the age of 13.
Wow, that's really young.
And when I lost my virginity, the guy actually dared me to show my boobies to him. And when I showed him, he asked me if I wanted to have sex. And originally I said no. But he started calling me names and told me I wasn't worthy of any guy ever loving me.
What names did he call you?
A lame, ugly, stupid. Just random names of derogatory names about a woman. He even called me the B word.
And then, so after he called you those names and told you nobody would want you, what did you end up doing?
I decided to have sex with him, just based off that, so I could prove a point to him.
To prove a point that you were what?
I could do whatever anybody else that he knew that wasn't a lame, quote unquote, could do.
Do you think that when you had sex with him, it made you feel beautiful when he was calling you ugly?
No, actually I felt pretty bad afterwards and felt like trash, like I wasn't even worth being with at all.
Ariane, I just want to say I'm actually happy that you did not feel good after. And I think it's a good message to all young girls that there are guys that will say bad things, or people that will say bad things to you to make you do something that you don't want to do. They'll also say very good things to you to make you do something. And you have to know that it is your ultimate choice, and to not give in when you're not feeling comfortable. And that's happened to me before. I've had a guy tell me all this kind of stuff in my ear and whispering this and that, and I was like, ooh, I know what you're trying to get. Let me back away from you. Okay, now we've got a panel of teens from all over the country with us today. How many of you guys are sexually active? Why don't you raise your hands and keep them raised? Let's see, so 4 over here, and so we've got the majority, except for one of us is not active. Okay, Tiffany, tell me about the first time that you had sex, and how old are you?
I was 15, and I was with my boyfriend for 5 months. We had a lunch break at school, and our school let us go off campus. We didn't have cafeteria on campus. We went back to his house. We were just going to watch a movie, just relax. We started making out, and it just turned into sex. We weren't planning on having sex that day. We weren't actually thinking about it when it happened. We thought we were in love. We thought that it was the right time, and it just happened.
And then so you had a break at school, you had the sex, and then what did you do after you had the sex?
Went right back to school.
You went right back to school?
Yeah.
You had a sex lunch break?
Yeah.
At 15 years old? And I know we're laughing, but that's really, like, I've never heard of that. Where were your parents?
My mom was at work, and so was his parents.
And you did it where?
At his house.
At his house. In what bed?
His.
Okay. Tia, how old were you when you had sex?
I was 14, a month before I turned 15, and Mom was going to visit her boyfriend, and I was mad.
So you were jealous of your mother because she had a boyfriend and she was spending time with this boyfriend. What did you do to get her back?
I lost my virginity, and with the boy that I'd been talking to for about a year, I didn't know him personally, but he had been pressuring me into sex for almost a year. And so she was going to see her boyfriend, and
you said, let me get you back, Mom. For spending time with your boyfriend, I'm going to have sex.
Yeah, I was jealous of her relationship.
Mm-hmm. And where did you have the sex?
In my bed.
In your mom's house, in the house. You know, that's interesting, because I'll tell you guys something. When I was a young girl, my mother did not want me to date this guy. And he was kind of older. I was 15, he was 18. She did not want me to date him. And I thought I was in love with this boy so much. And he actually came to pick me up one day. And my parents pulled him aside and said, how old are you? Because they could look at him and tell he was older. Found out his age, sent him home. And I was just like, oh my gosh. Yeah. But getting back to the revenge factor, I was so mad at my mom. I remember opening my diary and saying, you won't let me date this older guy. Well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to have sex with him everywhere. I'm going to do this. I was a virgin, and I was just trying to get this revenge, but I did it in the diary. I didn't actually do it. So it's interesting that you carried it out. So how did you feel after?
I felt really bad. I told her like 2 weeks later, and she said that she knew it was going to happen and everything one day, but she didn't want me to do it because I was mad at her. She told me I'd done it for all the wrong reasons. Okay, well, according to our web survey, 14% of teens who have sex are doing it in school. 14% are doing it in school. I don't know where. I have no idea where they're doing it. Anybody perform sex in school? You perform sex in school?
Yeah.
Where in school?
It was in one of the bathrooms in the auxiliary gym building.
In the bathroom?
Yeah.
Tell me about what happened.
Well, we just went in there after school and we almost got caught by a janitor. And then just right after we just left.
And then you went back to class?
No, it was after school.
It was after school. What would make you want to have sex in a school? In a bathroom?
It just kind of happened. I mean, he wanted to.
Girls' bathroom or boys' bathroom?
I don't remember.
You don't remember. All right, we'll take a break. We'll be right back. Over 52% of the teens in our survey who were having sex admitted that they do not use protection. In this day and age, with so many STDs and people still dying of AIDS, 52% of those kids said and women said they do not, teens, excuse me, said that they do not use protection. But how many of you guys here are having unprotected sex? Again, a majority. There's 2 girls, 1 virgin, and are you sexually active?
Yeah.
So you're active but protecting?
Of course.
Okay, so moms in the audience, shocked? Yes. Yes, very shocked. Oh, I can imagine. Okay, Justine, how many partners have you had?
I've had 9 partners.
9 partners. And how old are you?
16.
16 years old with 9 partners? How old were you when you lost your virginity?
13.
13 years old?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So tell me about your issues with safe sex.
One night I was experimenting with ecstasy and I was talking to this older boy and...
First of all, that's another issue.
Yeah.
The drugs, which we'll get to. That's not something I'm just going to let float by. But go on.
And things happen and he has to take off the condom, and I kept saying no, but finally I'd given into it.
And why did you give in?
I don't want to blame it on the drugs. I really don't, because it was my decision. He just kind of manipulated me into it that night.
Okay, and so?
A few days after that, you know, I just didn't feel right down there. So I had my mom take me to the doctor because I had actually lied to her and told her that I just felt like I had a urinary tract infection. And I went back to the doctors alone, and they checked me, and I did have a urinary tract infection. I also had a yeast infection, a disease called trick. It's an STD. It's short for something, but it's basically little mites that cause a disease, but they give you a shot, and that's gone within 24 hours.
But it's still serious, even though a shot makes it go away.
It's very common.
Okay.
And they also had diagnosed me with HSV2 and...
What's HSV2?
It stands for herpes simplex virus type 2, so it's genital herpes.
And how old were you when you were diagnosed with herpes?
I was 15.
15 years
right
old.
Right before my 16th birthday.
So now you have to live with it forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The hardest part for me...
It's okay. It's okay.
The hardest part was when they told me, I was crying really bad. I was really worried because it was something I have to live with for the rest of my life. And the hardest part was sucking in all the tears and acting like everything was fine and going out to my mom and pretending like nothing was wrong.
Mm-hmm. But you told your mom?
Eventually, a few months later, I went a while without telling anyone, which wasn't smart.
And do you know who gave it to you?
Yes, I do.
And what did he say when you gave it that he gave it to you?
I never confronted him about it. I've always been scared.
You haven't confronted him? Do you understand that by you not confronting him, he's spreading that to so many other people? And other people are spreading it to other people, and it could literally affect millions of people? Do you understand how the sex chain works?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, definitely.
So
now.
that his strain can affect millions of people by him not knowing. You understand that?
Yeah.
Although if it's warts or something, I'm sure he does know, but he might not know. You understand? Some guys are kind of like dumb. Like, oh, there's some stuff down there. I don't know what it is. Do you understand, though? It's really important that you tell him because you're getting help for yourself, and he needs to get help for himself because I know you're on medication right now.
Yeah.
Okay, to suppress the outbreaks. Okay. Our survey found that 1 in 3 sexually active teens thought they had an STD. 1 in 3. That's 33.33% of teens. Now, I understand somebody else paid a price for having unprotected sex. Who's that? Tia?
Yes.
Tell me about you.
I had unprotected sex with a couple different guys, and I contracted chlamydia. I went to the doctor, and...
So you said you had unprotected sex with a couple of different guys. How many guys?
At the time, it was like 3.
3 guys?
Yes.
And you went to the doctor, and he said you had what?
I tested positive for chlamydia.
You tested positive for chlamydia.
Within the first year.
You know, this is so amazing to me because we hear about diseases, we know as adults about these diseases, but I don't think about chlamydia and herpes for 13-year-old and 14 and 15-year-old kids. That to me is like, it's crazy to me to know that you look like a little baby. All of you guys look like children. Like children, and you're talking about chlamydia. They are children. I'm talking about they look even younger than they are. To me, it looks like this is 10-year-old talking about chlamydia. So you got chlamydia, but then you started to notice something else. What did you start to notice?
Well, after I got chlamydia the first time, I was still having unprotected sex.
You still were having unprotected sex?
Yes.
Why?
And, I don't know.
Did you get lost in the moment?
Most of the guys didn't want to. If I said something about it, then they would just sort of blow it off and just act like they didn't hear me.
And then so you would say, okay, they're acting like they don't hear me, so I'm just going to have unprotected sex.
Yeah. And, you know, a lot of the guys, if I didn't have unprotected sex with them, they would get mad at me, and I still wanted that closeness with them. And I still wanted to feel like, you know, they were my friend. I was afraid if I didn't do what they wanted, then I wouldn't be their friend. And so I went, a year later, and I tested positive for chlamydia again.
Chlamydia again?
Yes. And that time when I got tested, I also tested positive for herpes.
So now you have herpes?
Yes. I went to the doctor and I noticed blisters coming up, and I went to the doctor and they first told me that it was just cyst. And then I went to another gynecologist and they was telling me it was warts. They never knew. Like a year later, I went and I got a blood test done, and I tested positive for herpes in my mouth and in my genitals.
In your mouth and your genitals?
Yes.
Is that because you were having oral sex as well with this guy?
No.
It just is
I've never
in your
had.
bloodstream?
Yeah. And
why do you talk about it so normal?
It bothers me, but you know, I know that I have to live with it, and I don't know.
It sounds like you're just saying, you know, and then I went to the store and I bought some candy, and then I went down the street and my friend said, can I have some? And I said no. And it sounds like you're just talking about something.
I've talked to a lot of people about it, and I'm ashamed that I have it, but it's not, I mean, it's something I want other people to be aware of.
Your mother is here. Where's your mother? Hi.
Hi.
Why do you think your daughter talks about this in such a normal way, in a blasé way? Because it doesn't even sound like she's warning people to me. It just sounds like, oh, this happened.
Well, when an incident happened like that, you know, when she told me, her and I are very close. So when she initially told me, I wasn't out to, you know, find the guy, report this, report that, you know. If you have something and you know what you have, then the best thing to do is treat it, try to stop it. Her and I have a very close relationship, and it's by far nonchalant. I mean, she lives with it every day. She goes to the pharmacy, gets her meds every day.
How does it make you feel as a mother?
As a mother, I feel as though I failed. I was angry, knowing that she wasn't having a tremendously active sex life with only a couple of sex partners. You know, you never think, you know, any parent I think here today would probably say, no, that's not my little girl, or, you know, that couldn't happen to my little girl, but it does. That's reality. You just have to make the best of it.
So as a mom, you say that you feel like you failed as a mom.
Yeah,
I don't think you failed as a mother. I think this part is a very big issue, but I think to say you failed as a mom is...
I failed as a mom, as in she told you. She was upset with me. We had a hard time in our life. I lost my mom the same year that all this happened, and you know, I was spread this way and that, and so I think she was, you know, trying to get back to me with me, you know, as a mom-daughter relationship. That I was sort of at a hard time there trying to get back to her because of loss of my mom.
What are you doing now to make a change with her? Because she's obviously starving for affection and attention from these guys. There's something lacking in her life. So what are you doing as a mom to...
Well, after my mom passed, she was always promised, you know, once I had that one person taken out of this world, one person coming up, you know. Her and I have had a great 2 years together, or almost 2 years now. And we are just like best friends. She tells me everything. I tell her everything. She has a lot of respect for me, as well as me having respect for her.
Okay, thank you. In our survey, we found that 27% of teens still have unprotected sex, knowing they have an STD. And I think that is a message for everybody out there. You think, oh, I know him or I know her. They look clean, or they would tell me. 27% of teens will still do it, even though they have one, an STD. We'll be right back. We're talking about our huge TyraShow.com web survey of over 10,000 young girls. And I just have to tell the girls here and the audience at home, this is a very difficult show for me to do because it's a survey. And when you do a survey, you just have to hit things really fast, the questions in the survey, and move on. Like Tia, you were talking, I saw 10 red flags that I wanted to talk about you feeling like you need love, you don't feel good enough. There are so many things. And we're going to do more shows about this. All season, we're going to do more shows about this so that I can delve deeper into these issues that we're talking about today. Next up, teen pregnancy rates are on the rise. As we all know, we've seen the so-called pregnancy pact, which we covered here on the Tyra Show, a version of that on the Tyra Show. And our web survey showed that 1 in 5 girls actually wants to be a teen mom. 1 in 5 girls wants to be a teen mom. When I was a little girl, we did Play Mama in elementary school. You're gonna be my play daughter. Can I be your play mama? Okay, hey, I'm gonna comb your hair. That was mama for us. Now it's like actually having sex and giving birth and wanting this. Tiffany, you were not an accidental teen mom.
No, I wasn't.
Tell me what that means.
A friend of mine had been having sex and was pregnant with a little girl. So my boyfriend and I had been talking about, oh, what would we name our daughter? What would we name our son if we got a baby when we were married? And all that talk had made me decide I really wanted one now.
And how old were you?
I was 15. We had talked about it. My boyfriend had made it very clear that he did not want a baby right now. We were still young. I was 15. He was 17. We were just finishing our junior year in high school, and we weren't working full-time jobs. He had a part-time job. I had none. So
you devised some tricks, though, because he was kind of saying baby names, but wasn't really ready to have a baby. He was just playing baby names with you.
Yes.
So you decided to do a little trick. What did you do?
I had helped teach a sex ed class to a class of freshmen in my sophomore year. So we taught how to tell if you were pregnant, and there is a week in the month that you are more likely to get pregnant than any other time of the month. And I had calculated that out, and I decided on 2 days that I was most likely to get pregnant. We did not have sex on those 2 specific days. We had sex before them, but I did end up pregnant anyways.
So you were trying?
Yes.
Like a 39-year-old woman.
Yes.
That is trying. She's tracking her cycle, or a 45-year-old woman that really wants to get pregnant, that the chances are less. That's, to me, when I hear you talk, that's what it sounds like.
Yes.
And you got pregnant?
Yes.
And you have a child?
I have a little boy. He is now 7 months. His name is Nathan.
Okay. Hi, Nathan. Okay, so that's Nathan. And Nathan is adorable. Let me talk about that, because there's always this push and pull that happens for me when children have babies and we all go, oh my God, that's so awful. And then we put the camera, or even as family, we all come to the baby shower or to the hospital when the baby comes out and it turns to, aww. And as beautiful as Nathan is, he is absolutely gorgeous. But there is something inside of me that tears me apart when I hear, oh, because it makes everything okay. And it makes your decision okay, because the baby has these beautiful big eyes and this cute little drooly mouth, and it makes it cute and okay. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Yes. It's this weird push and pull. It happens in my family. It's like, oh, she's pregnant. Oh, look at the baby. You know, there's something kind of odd there. I want to talk to Mama. Did you have that feeling of like, oh my God, this is awful, and then, oh?
I did. My first reaction was, total shock. I was at work and cried and cried. But my very next reaction was feeling for her. And, how difficult it was for her, and hearing at the time I didn't know she was planning this. So what I heard in her voice was terror and what am I going to do? And that was really difficult. And it's hard now to feel that it was something that she shouldn't have done, because he is absolutely wonderful baby.
Yeah, that's the conflict. That's the crazy conflict, because you don't want to support your child having a child, so you think, okay, do I kick them out the house? No, that's my child, and now they're raising my grandchild, so then I keep them in the house. Does that mean that I'm saying that you can have more babies and more, it's like this crazy thing. Where are you now?
I think the biggest thing now is preventing it from happening again.
And what are you doing for that?
We're trying really hard. I had made the comment, you're right, it's very difficult to say, I'm not going to kick you out of the house. And the comment I told her is, if it happened again, her having sex again, I was going to kick her out of the house.
Her having sex again, you're going to kick her out of the house?
And when I found out that because I'm not doing this again, when I found out she was having sex again after the baby, it was really hard to kick her out. I started to change that to, what can I do to change this?
Because that's not so realistic. Right. I mean, she's having babies and planning it, and then you're going to say don't have sex? Don't know how realistic that is.
Right.
But I think putting the cap on if you have another baby you're going to have to leave is more realistic. So your boyfriend did not know you tried to get pregnant because you tricked him. How did he feel when the baby came?
I told him when I was 6 months pregnant that I had planned it. He did not believe me at first. He thought I was just saying it because I was emotional. We had talked about adoption. He thought I was just using it as a ploy to not have to give him up. About a month after I told him, I sat down with him again and I said, Eric, I planned this. I did this. This is I calculated this, I planned our son. And he was really upset. He did not know what to think. So it was a big part in our breakup after our son was born, was us not being able to trust each other.
And so is he your boyfriend now?
He is not.
Did you want him to be your boyfriend with having the baby and planning it? That was part of the package? You wanted that package?
I did want that package. I kind of expected him to be with me for the baby. But after a while, I figured it's not his responsibility to be with me for the baby. It's his responsibility to take care of him and not.
But that's
be
not
with me
what you
just for
planned.
him.
You wanted a package. You wanted a
Yes.
perfect little thing.
Yes.
And I want to let everybody know, every little girl wants that package. But the statistics show that the boy does not stick around with teen pregnancies. We've got 2 more girls that are pregnant on this panel. We're going to talk to them. We'll be right back. Talking about our huge Tyra Show survey, TyraShow.com survey, where we ask teens and young women about sex, STDs, and pregnancy. So, Leslie, tell me about you right now. You're with child.
Yes, I am now 35 weeks pregnant.
So what does that add up to?
About 8.5 months.
So you're ready to deliver pretty
Yes.
much any day. And how old are you?
I am 17.
You got pregnant when you were 16?
Yes.
And tell me what happened.
The whole thing started out was I usually always use condoms. We got caught up in the moment. We decided to have unprotected sex. About 6 weeks later, I missed my period. I tried to deny it. After that, I finally went to the store. I just grabbed every test off the shelf.
Where did you take the pregnancy test?
I actually took them at my house. My mother was not home.
Okay.
She was out, and I took all the tests. They all came out positive. I was still really scared denying it, so I decided to go to my OB. And
Your OB/GYN, the doctor?
Yes. And when they tested me, they said I was positive. They did the ultrasound and showed me the baby's heartbeat. I just broke down in tears.
Happy? Tears?
No, I was more scared and terrified because I didn't know how my future was going to end.
Where's the guy?
I'm actually not with him no longer.
Okay.
We do not speak. He's actually, since like 3 days ago, he's been denying my daughter, the baby I'm carrying.
Are you going to get a paternity test?
I actually want to have a DNA test done just to show him that he's the baby's father.
I think that's important. And we're not that talk show that's going to do that. But I do think that's important because he did have something to do with this, and he does have a responsibility now. He as well decided not to put on a condom, so it is equally his responsibility. But the difference is, as a man, it's his responsibility financially with the law. But socially, whose responsibility is it usually that it lands on to take care of the baby? The mama. And you understand that, and you've accepted that. Okay, Bernadette.
Yes.
Tell me about you.
Me and my boyfriend, we're using condoms, and I guess something just went wrong. And for a month, I missed my period, and I didn't want to accept it. And so we were actually at a drugstore with a couple of our friends, and I just kind of had a feeling just to hurry up and get it done with. So I bought a pregnancy test and went to the bathroom, and I took it in the bathroom.
Bathroom in the drugstore?
Yes. And I was with a couple of my friends, and I sat there and I looked, and it came up positive, and I was like, great. So then.
And how old are you?
16.
16.
Yes. So then I went and I showed my friends, and they told me, well, let's go tell your boyfriend. And he was actually outside waiting, and he was in the parking lot. I went up to him and I told him, I was like, I'm pregnant. And he just looked at me like he was in shock and just went for a walk around the parking lot.
I would too. Okay. We're going to move on to another big issue in the survey, which is girl fights. Over 5,000 teens and young women told us that they'd hit someone out of anger. So let's go to Shawanda. Tell me about you and girl fights. There was a girl that said something smart to you. She had a crush on your ex-boyfriend, and you didn't get along with this girl. She said something smart to you, made you angry, and you did what?
We was in the science lab, and she said something to me, and I ended up smacking her across her face. And
you hit her in the face?
Yes.
And the teacher was in science lab and everything?
Yeah, the teacher came and broke it up, but mind you, in the science lab. So I took a test tube, and I threw it in her eye, and she had to go to the nurse.
You smile when you say that.
I mean, it's nothing good. It didn't hit me till I got home, and I realized, like, you know, I let my anger take over, and I shouldn't have done that.
But you smiled a little when you said you threw the test tube.
Yeah.
I saw a little twinkle. I don't know if y'all saw it. There was a little twinkle. Where is that? Do you think she got what she deserved, even though you hit her in the eye with a test tube? You could be honest.
In the end, because she said stuff about me and other people that had nothing to do with it.
So you feel like, yeah, she got what she deserved.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And what happened to you? Did you get suspended?
Yeah, for 2 weeks.
For 2 weeks. I think it should have been longer. For throwing a test tube. That's glass. You could have put her eye out. Amy was on the other end of this. She was actually the victim of a fight caught on tape. Check this out. That sounded like a bunch of birds, like egging this on. You were the girl on the bottom, being beaten up.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me what happened.
Well, everybody looks at me and they see an innocent girl that don't look like she's done anything bad. But the day before that happened, they had been calling me, telling me that they were going to do all kinds of stuff to me. I just kind of try to shake it off because I know that people like to call other teens
and say crazy things. Then your mom picked up the phone one day, and what did they say to your mother?
They just kept being disrespectful to her like they were doing to me, telling her the same stuff.
Saying that they were going to kill her?
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
And beat her up? Okay, so then your mom gave them your address.
Yeah.
Well, I don't get that. You gave them the address, Mom?
No.
You said, if you want to come beat me up, here's the address?
No, I just told them to come over so I knew who I was dealing with because, I mean, at that point, it was just people on the phone. I need to see what I was dealing with.
I kind of like that a little bit.
So, I mean, yeah, so I did tell them to come over,
so that they can identify themselves and see.
Right.
So did they come?
Yeah, they did at 4 o'clock in the morning.
What?
Yeah.
And you identified these children?
Yeah, at 4 o'clock in the morning. They were out in front of my house, and then my husband went out to talk to them, and they ran. And then they automatically started calling Amy again, saying that, you know, oh, you sent your stepfather out to take care.
Which led to this fight later in a park.
Right, the next day.
Gosh, okay. So you've taken some self-defense classes to defend yourself?
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Well, I figured that this can happen anywhere, anytime. It almost happened a few days after that happened again. So I decided that I wanted to take self-defense classes so I can kind of defend myself if it happens again.
Do you enjoy the girl fighting a little bit? Is there anything about that you enjoy?
I don't enjoy it. I don't promote it, but I engage in it.
I understand that you're the finisher. What does that mean?
Like, I'm not going to start a fight, but if it comes up to me and if someone wants to fight me, I will finish it.
I'm scared. Okay, we'll be right back. We're talking about the results of our TyraShow.com survey asking why so many young girls are in crisis. Now, 1 out of 3 of the teen girls that did our web survey told us that they have tried drugs. It's 1 out of 3. That's a lot. Now, we have a drug that we're going to talk about called salvia. Anybody heard of that? Salvia? Check this out, guys.
Salvia is making front-page headlines across the country. And a recent New York Times article reported that as many as 1.8 million people have gotten high off what they call the world's most powerful hallucinogenic herb. Some users are finding its effects so instantaneous and so incapacitating that they started videotaping their Salvia session and posting the results on YouTube. In a typical Salvia video, the drug takes effect in seconds and then leaves the user almost completely catatonic.
That looks like a horror movie. I'm sorry, can we like re-rack that and show that again? That looked like, that last part to me looked like, you guys know those movies like Saw and all that? That looked, the very last one, I was like, oh my, that one, oh my God. That looks like he is possessed by a demon. Okay, I have to ask the panel, have any of you guys tried this salvia? 2 of you have. Justine and Megan have tried it. Tell me, Justine, about you trying this drug. I have never seen anything like that in my life.
Well, I'd heard about it from my brother. And one day, I don't know, me and Megan decided that we wanted to try it. And it was right before school, so we
Megan's
went.
your friend? Okay.
Yeah.
On our panel here, Megan is your friend. That's why you guys have both tried it. Okay.
And we did it. I mean, it doesn't last long. It really doesn't. It's like 15 minutes, but it is very hallucinogenic.
So what you saw on that tape is you've seen kids looking like that doing this?
Not the last part, not that extreme, but yeah.
Yeah, maybe you were doing that and you don't know.
I was drooling, I know that.
You remember drooling, but I'm saying, right, it's called high for a reason. You're so high and floating, you're not in your body.
Yeah.
And there's a possibility that you were like a horror movie. You've also tried another drug. What's the other drug that you've tried?
It's not a drug, it's just a substance. It's called.
Okay, I'm going to beep that out, right? Because that is a substance that a lot of people can have access to. Any kid can go to the store and buy that. I'm going to bleep that out because I don't want to teach people to use that, okay? We'll be right back. T-Zone is my foundation that is for the betterment and the empowerment of young girls across the country. The Sadie Nash Leadership Project in Brooklyn brings together girls from all 5 boroughs in New York City in the hopes of creating powerful young female leaders, and T-Zone has been a funder of the Sadie Nash Foundation. 4 of the teens from the Sexual Health Peer Training Program are here today. Erica, Bianca, Katrina, and Ariane. So I want to ask you guys are leaders in the sex department of Sadie Nash. What do you have to say about what you've heard today from these young girls today?
Well, I'm 17 years old. I've been working with this since I was 14. So it's like just hearing this is just like everything I go through every day, hearing teens that are not educated about sex, about HIV, about STDs, about contraceptions, and it's good to have that teenage role model to educate other teens rather than adults.
And I think that's so good because a lot of teens relate to me and they're like, oh, Tyra, you're so cool. You talk to us like, you know, like a teen, but I'm not a teen.
Yeah.
And you guys are a teen. And the fact that you're with the foundation and an organization that put you guys in as leaders to be able to lead that for teens, I think is so important. Because I know teens, you guys, you don't want to hear adults talk about sex sometimes, and sometimes it's gross, right? So I think it's great that you guys are being a leader and leading by example as well. Thank you so much. You make me proud. We'll be right back. The teens on today's show, we're talking about it all: sex, drugs, and violence. Now, I know there's teens at home watching that want to share what they're going through, the struggles, the different things that you have to deal with on a daily basis. So go to tyrashow.com. We have a community there that you can talk and share all of the issues that's going on with you. And we'll see you later.